just get started. We'll bring in
Good
one.
afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are, and welcome to NerdTube. And we're going to be doing our double bill of the Orville and Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Today's episode of Orville is episode 3. The episode is also known as Morality Paradox. And the episode 7 of um, of Star Trek is Strange New Worlds is also known as Serene Squall, whatever that fucking means. I'm here today with cousin Cheeto. How you doing, mate?
Hanging in there. How about yourself, my lad?
I'm doing well. I'm just a bit unfortunate that our third amigo here, who's not with us at this moment in time, is having a little bit of issues regarding the internet. Hello, Justroy5, and welcome to the stream, mate. Hope you have a good time watching this, and please ask us questions. We always like to take questions. So what we're gonna do is start off with talking about Strange New Worlds, and because our resident Star Trek man in Major Rays, he loves talking about Strange New Worlds. He's a big fan of that particular show, like we all are, but more so with him. So hopefully, when he does eventually come back, we will be talking about it. But before we start talking about the episode and breaking it down, Cheetah, what do you think of the episode as a whole?
Which one are we on? I'm sorry.
Strange New Worlds, episode
Oh,
7.
this one was really good. It was kind of your heist episode, but I love how they didn't hold our hands with it. Like, I love how they were very tongue in cheek with it on Pike's end, where it's like, they were just like, they're like, oh, we're gonna start a mutiny. Like, it's just like they're just like, oh, come on. I'm like, no, it's gonna work. Trust me. And I about lost my shit when Pike was imitating a pirate at the end. I'm sorry. Like, I could not contain myself when he did that. I was like, "Oh my god, I love this fucking show so much."
Yeah, I'm enjoying it too. I did feel that with how this episode panned out and what we got with this episode, I felt it should be more of a two-parter, because I think when it came definitely to the subplot of this episode, which was Pike and some of the away team being held hostage on that ship, like, we could have got maybe a bit more depth into all of that. Because one minute they're starting a mutiny, and before you know it, they're already taking over the ship. Where the
I like that. I did not have an issue with that because we knew how that was going to go. And I'm kind of okay with them skipping that whole part. I was more interested with what was going on Enterprise than I was on the mutineer ship, and I'm kind of glad they did it. In my opinion, I'm kind of glad they did it that way.
yeah, I could see that, but it would be nice to know, like, what happened to Ginger Greek, Orion's cousin, um, because one he seems to be in charge one moment, and all of a sudden we just don't see him anymore. And he seemed to be a little bit of a significant character, definitely like a secondary bad guy. After what we came across as the main villain, which was an interesting twist in this particular episode. So
I mean, she
yeah,
went full on supervillain as soon as she broke down that cover. Like, I was like, oh
this
god, we're in serious mustache twirling territory now.
was she an alien or was she a human?
I think she's an alien. I don't know what's up with the
Yeah,
tattoo, but
yeah, because that Mike Tyson thing she's got going on around her face is a bit weird. But the only thing I noticed about her is how much she looked like an '80s rock star, because that whole outfit and stuff, they really, I'm kind of surprised that Strange New Worlds went there to a degree, but maybe they're harkening back to old Trek into maybe sexualizing their characters, because they really sexualized her. I mean, whatever she wore was revealing, whether it be showing off a bit of skin or showing off her figure. I mean, she was wearing some sort of fucking, old school Borg outfit, for fuck's sake, later on in the episode, which was very unusual, but all right. I guess I guess that's deemed as acceptable. Her character, if I just have to pull up the name, because there was a lot going on in this episode, and some of the things kind of passed me by. But she's like a counselor. She goes by the name of Dr. Aspen, but we find out that she's not. She's Captain something or other, and she's at the like the leader of the space pirates. Have we really had space pirates before in Star Trek?
Oh yeah, I mean
Uh,
Enterprise had some. Um, DS9 had some. They were space pirates that took over Deep Space Nine, and they were there to hijack the Trill, Jedzia Dax's Trill. Um,
okay.
there was Enterprise. I think there were people in TNG that tried to hijack the Enterprise. They were kind of pirates. Actually, the first appearance of the actor who plays Tuvok. He plays a human in that episode, and they were on when Enterprise was going through some kind of barium sweep.
Yeah.
They took over the Enterprise and they were stealing stuff from it. So I mean, it depends on your idea of pirates. I mean, the Orions have been in Enterprise. There was that big, I think
The
that,
Marquis are pirates, aren't they?
huh?
The Marquis are pirates to a degree. Freedom fighter
Yeah,
pirates,
they're more
whatever.
the Maquis are terrorists. I wouldn't call them pirates.
Okay.
Um, or freedom fighters, whatever your definition of it is.
Yeah.
If you're a Maquis sympathizer, that is. But yeah, I mean, there's been plenty of pirates.
Okay. Welcome back, Mage. Hopefully, you're not going to be having any more problems. Daniel Vance has said retraction, correction. Jess Bush scars and tattoos are real and not her character based. Whether or not they'll give in the universe explanation, who knows? Yeah, I generally thought they were real, Daniel. So, yeah, but it's no biggie. Just Rose 5 says, I need to watch it again. I just saw it this afternoon, but missed some other parts of it too. All right, fair enough. Yeah, I just watched it once this afternoon. Um, and if you didn't see Dr. Aspen and Captain Angel twist coming from the beginning, you need to recalibrate your senses. I kind of, it was really hard to follow that plot to a degree because this particular character, she just seemed to be involved in everything from the beginning of the episode, and I had no idea who the fuck she was. And I was so like blown away with her whole appearance. It was very distracting. You know, she looked like she should have been on Stranger Things with that fucking look. Because she, like I said, she looked like she belongs to the fucking 80s. But I wasn't surprised by the twist either. I wasn't like, oh my god, she's the bad guy all along. No, I wasn't surprised at all. This definitely was like a Spock episode. Would you say that?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a Spock episode. I mean,
And a Chapel episode to a degree.
yeah, I mean, they're exploring that relationship, which again, I don't think needs to happen. But I mean, I only for continuity's sake. If these two characters were in like an alternate timeline, I'd be on board for it. But if this is the quote unquote prime timeline, I don't know I don't know if it'll fit in you know the prime timeline continuity.
Oh, don't block Daniel. He's all right, honestly. He wasn't talking to you. He was talking to us. Um, just so you know, Daniel's a good guy. He's not worth blocking. Honestly, he's an encyclopedia of knowledge. I think you might have just got on the wrong foot there for sure. Trust us on that. Would you agree?
What happened?
Yeah, I didn't. Look, if you Daniel misses this, if you didn't see Doctor Aspen, Captain Angel, oh yeah, that's who she was. Twist coming from the beginning, you need to recalibrate your senses. And so just said, well, yeah, I didn't either. Honestly, I didn't need to put up that kind of attitude from people I don't know. So I blocked Daniel. If that makes me a B, then oh well. Trust me, unblock him. You'll be fine. He's not worth blocking. He's just saying that to us, not to you.
Yeah, no, he's saying that to us. Oh my god.
Yeah, honestly. So and like I said, I wasn't.
And Daniel Vance
I
is
was,
a wealth of knowledge, so you'll be missing out if you
yeah,
block him. You'll be missing out on all the little tidbits from the episode.
yeah, for sure. But as I was saying earlier, I did find this episode reasonably interesting, following this particular character around. I thought there might be some sort of love interest between her and Spock. Were you getting those vibes? This this Captain Angel lady when before it was revealed that she was the baddie.
I mean, I think everybody's Spock thirsty at this point. I mean, you see so many people just going after Spock. It's like, oh my god, like y'all need to get your Ponfar checked or something. Your Ponfar levels.
Not even Peck, dude. You know what I mean? He's fucking hot as hell. Yeah, look at Jeb Bush. So Jeb Bush, did I say Jeb Bush?
Oh
Oh
Lord,
yeah, Jeb
what a
Bush.
Freudian slip.
Yeah, sorry.
Zam
Nurse
loves
Chap,
Zam
Nurse
loves
Chap,
that Jeb Bush.
Nurse Chapel. I meant to say. I mean, she's got the serious fucking hots. Um, for Spock. I mean, she's the type of person to fuck around, play around, but when it comes to Spock, you can tell that she wants to have a home with a picket fence and have some little, pointy ear kids with the guy for sure. She's like smitten by him. So I did like that. So Mage, hopefully you'll be with us now.
So far,
Can you get?
this is the longest he's been with us, which is so weird because we just did the Final Fantasy thing, and he had no problems at all.
I don't know what's
Exactly.
going on with that laptop. I've switched to the smaller laptop, but it is a serviceable little thing.
Yeah, don't notice the difference, honestly.
Same cam, same headset, so should have the same fidelity. Where are we at, fellas?
Just start us off, dude.
Okay, awesome. Well, this episode we start off on the Ankashtan Katil Vulcan Rehabilitation Center on Omicron Lyrae, its third moon, and we start with T'Pring, and she kind of gives us her log. She talks about
Oh yeah.
How tough it is, making a long distance relationship work, and they start to have a video call, little video conference date, and she tells Spock that she's been doing research on human sexuality and reading up on it, and he's a little taken aback. He's a little awkward about it.
She's been watching 2010s porn, or 2020s porn. So that's why Spock's taken back a little bit.
Yeah, and he expresses regret that they had to be long distance. We cut to him and Nurse Chapel on their way to Captain's table, where Chapel tries to engage in conversation, but Spock is very distracted, and he proceeds to open up about how, what's going on, and, how he's scared that T'Pring thinks he's too human. She basically tells him to, not overthink it like he did the last time he came to her for relationship advice.
They have been whacking us over the head recently. Yes, Spock's half human. Remember that. Half human. Spock. He's not fully Vulcan. He's got a human mum. He's half human. And her mum died.
Spock's half human?
Yeah, like they want to remind us constantly. But honestly, like the half human side of Spock, like I see it come out of him so rarely. Like his humans, like he's more Vulcan than anything. But I will say this, and I know I'm jumping ahead, and you probably haven't brought this up. But when he had that conversation with Dr. Aspen, who turned out to be Captain Angel, regarding that he's Vulcan because he's brought up in Vulcan, and she just mentions that's geography. I thought that was some genius writing.
That was very good.
It was great.
Yeah, all of that. But you know what? The whole scene I'm talking about. I mean, I'm only bringing up a little snippet of that scene, but anyway, I don't want to stop you from talking unless you got something to say yourself, Cheetah.
No, I'm good.
Please continue, Mage.
Okay. Next scene is the dinner at the captain's table, and we meet Dr. Aspen. She's informing the senior staff about the situation. There's colony ships on the edge of non-Federation space that are in a bit of distress. Been without power for 26 days, and Enterprise's mission is to go and aid them. We get some funny bits. Apparently Captain Pike is the Boy Scout Starfleet. And
I think, if you don't mind me interrupting for a start,
not at all.
What did you think of the 80s rock star look of Dr. Aspen, Captain Angel? What do you think of her look? Does she look like she came straight out of an 80s music video?
She did, yeah. The earrings and all, the tattoos around the eye.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good aesthetic. It sells her actual identity more than it sells her assumed identity. I feel like she didn't do a good job or any job of trying to disguise herself.
Well, I couldn't help but notice that her jacket had like a zipper on it, which I thought was a bit weird as well. Like if she's an alien or whatever, seeing that zipper on her jacket just really like okay, that's a bit of a weird design choice.
May as
But
well
okay,
throw in some safety pins.
yeah, exactly. And oh god, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, continue.
Uh,
Oh no,
Doc,
oh sorry, sorry. Did you think it was interesting for to Pring to have like a log entry because that seemed very unusual for her to have one at the beginning of the episode?
I, you it, you know, it's always been presented as like it's a Starfleet thing that they're required to have the logs, but I would imagine that maybe she keeps her own personal log. I think they wanted to start the episode with her, but they also wanted to keep it kind of traditional Trek and start off the episode with some sort of log entry.
One more thing as well. It was Dr. Aspen who called Pike the Boy Scout. Is that correct?
Apparently, according to Una, it's also in his official
I
Starfleet
agree,
record.
but she brought it up. Is that correct?
She's the one who brought it
So,
up.
in my opinion, she brought it up so Pike would go against type and obviously break into the non-Federation part of space because he didn't want to be seen as a Boy Scout. It was good manipulation, in my opinion.
Yes, she was manipulating from the get-go, and she was a master of it.
Yeah, yeah. She even said when she said she did the same thing with Spock as well. I love watching Pike's peak melt as the episode went on. Yeah, yeah. He didn't have that Johnny Bravo going on this time round. Continue, please, Mage.
So Dr. Aspen informs him that there are pirate ships active in the area. Pike refers to this sector as the wild, wild west of the Alpha Quadrant. Apparently, the ship has the ironic name of the Serene Squall, ironic
Of
and
course.
alliterative.
Yeah.
She's a former Starfleet therapist, allegedly. Yeah, Cheeto?
I just was going to say, and actually, that actually harkens back to a Janeway quote from Voyager, where she references Kirk in the episode, and she does say that it's kind of like the Wild West. You know, it was like the Wild West back in those days of the TOS era. So I thought I thought there was a connection there between, because I remember Janeway saying something about James Kirk, Captain James Kirk, and something
Rule
about it being
breakers.
cowboy diplomacy or something like that. Like so basically making like a Wild West reference and cowboy diplomacy.
And he's gonna go full cowboy in this episode. It's as very out of type, like Zam said. But no, she reveals that, you know, she allegedly left Starfleet because she became disillusioned with not being able to aid people who weren't in the Federation, and she left to go do independent aid missions. But Lon calls them to the bridge, and they found wreckage of 2 of the 3 colony ships.
This is before they went into uncharted space. Is that correct?
That's correct. They're gonna kind of discuss it, and Pike makes the call that because more than likely the colonists are about to be sold into slavery, that he's going to ignore regulations and cowboy up, and kind of decides that asking for permission is harder than getting forgiveness. Sends a formality show message, drops a subspace beacon buoy, and goes into non-Federation space, and we get credits. What did you guys think of these segments?
Well, yeah, I mean, what I liked about that as well is that you could tell that they were really isolated before they went into Federation space, because to get a message back to Starfleet would take them 2 days, but they're that far out, and they end up sending a buoy. A buoy. Okay.
Baba buoy.
Yeah, and as a way of maybe getting the message out as well. But you felt that, as that famous song goes, there may be trouble ahead. I mean, that's you could just tell. It's like I felt it, like this is not gonna go right. I didn't know how it was gonna fuck up, but I did know it was gonna fuck up, and yeah, I was just waiting for the inevitable to happen. Gio?
I mean, yeah, pretty much echoing what you said. I mean, we knew, and especially the Tholian web thing. Like, I was like, like I thought we were going into a Tholian web part of it, because in the trailers for the season, that part was in the trailers. We're like, oh, we're gonna see the Tholians, and I'm like, I don't see Tholians in this trailer. I see lasers that make a net, but I mean, I love how, like, they do all that whole nonsense, but this part was okay. It kind of ran the standard procedure for me. I think after the ships gets captured is when things kind of get interesting to me.
And we saw another ship like behind the meteorite as well, and it never came into play until the end of the episode. And we'll talk about that a bit later. But you know, uh, it was a bit weird that they highlighted that. They should never have highlighted it, in my opinion. It was not worth it. Maybe they're wondering that people will complain, going, "Oh, she had a ship already at the end." You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
stuff like
this
that.
ship magically shows up and picks her up.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
that didn't bother me too much.
yeah, fair enough. All right, mate.
So post credits, Spock visits Dr. Aspen's quarters to try to grab her. She's not answering her any hails. Captain needs her on the bridge. She's in there working out to EDM music. And she reveals a couple of things. She knows about the Kolinar, which is the Vulcan ceremony for suppressing emotions, and she says it's from working with Vulcans in the past. It's revealed Spock hasn't undergone his yet. And they head to the bridge, and apparently a distress call's come through, and Pike once again kind of throws caution to the wind. He goes in, citing regulations to answer most distress calls, and they end up caught in this kind of energy beam net that we saw in the trailers. Spock, they, after kicking around a bunch of different ideas that they land on a plan, but Spock has to make a guess, a 50-50 call, and he seems conflicted, not wanting to make a guess or go on a hunch. Captain basically ordered him to, and it works. He picked the correct asteroid and blew it up, breaking down the overall system, causing cascade failure. But there's that hidden ship that you guys mentioned that was hiding on one of the asteroids that starts tailing them.
By the way, that guess was a combination of his human side and his Vulcan side. As much as he doesn't like to make guesses, because they're illogical, he made, like, in my opinion, the Vulcan side of him, as well as the human side of him, made the best calculated guess, if you know what I mean.
He narrowed it down with Vulcan science and logic, and then human
instinct,
intuition gave him the right answer in the end. So Aspen visits Spock in his quarters afterwards. He asks her to help kind of look through the signals and try to help him find a lead, but she's more interested in trying to analyze him and kind of break down what his troubles were on the bridge and why he froze up at the very idea of having to indulge the human side and go on a hunch.
You can see that she's manipulating him the whole time.
Yes,
yeah.
She gives herself away again. Her story starts to change about what her previous involvement with Vulcans is. It went from working with one and her story just kind of changes, and she's manipulating him. She's, admonishes him to find his own answer to what he actually is, saying, it's easy to want to try to put things into boxes, but you can't go into into a box of just human or a box of just Vulcan.
Mhm.
And she talks up the Serene Squall again, and she, saying if that had been their trap, we'd be dead. We cut to the bridge. Ortegas is manually flying the ship without navigational aid.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, I'm not sure if she was still pissing you off like she was in the previous episodes, but she had a couple of those Ortegas moments. Not too much, not like we had a couple of episodes ago, but she still had some of those moments. And I wish she would just shut the fuck up sometimes. I wish she didn't, because I don't want to come across as like fandom menace types and stuff like that who thinks that I'm hating on a woman, which is far from the case. I just happen to find this character to be very frustrating.
If it was a male character doing the same thing and trying to be cute in these very tense, serious situations, I would still have a problem with it. The captain seems mildly amused by it. He gave her a little chuckle at the first date, third date, blind date thing.
That was in the trailers, and I really like that line. I mean,
it's clever and it's funny. It's just ill-timed,
and too much of it. It's like there's diffusing the tension. They're like trying to diffuse the tension, and then they're just like being a fucking idiot. And I feel like she overdoes it, in my opinion. It's I find it very frustrating. Like, nobody goes on with the quips as much as she fucking does. So when thinking about Star Trek in the past, she really fucking lays it on thick. So too much for me.
She would fit in a Joss Whedon production.
Yes, for sure, for sure, or a CW production. So yeah, sorry, I apologize. Continue.
I'll just go over like one more scene, and then we can talk about maybe this whole segment. They find the colony ship. The captain calls for an away team to go down. He's going to lead it. He's cowboying it up again. Kind of Una calls him out on it, and when she's beaming them down, she asks, don't you think you're overcompensating over this Boy Scout thing? They get there, the colonists are nowhere to be found, and it's revealed that intruders beamed onto the ship while our away team was beaming off of it during that window with the shields down. The away team's captured. The intruders on the ship quickly take the bridge. There's a firefight. Dr. Aspen jumps in between phaser fire and Spock, knocking him out of the way but getting shot, and they escape in the turbo lift. What did you guys...
I'm sorry for taking all the time here, Cheeto, but if you don't mind me starting, I did enjoy seeing Spock use that sort of that Vulcan brutality when it comes to his strength and all of that. But the thing that pissed me off is how easily the Enterprise was overtaken. For fuck's sake, you're telling me like they couldn't? There's not enough people on that ship to grab their guns and start fucking grab their phasers, so to speak, and have some battles on the ship. It's like they easily got taken over, and that really surprised me. Yeah.
The halls of the Enterprise are, weirdly empty in most scenes on Strange New Worlds. There were more extras and stuff on just about any other, Star Trek series. Even Enterprise had more people, walking through the halls and
I think the pandemic is playing its part. That's why. When it comes to the filming,
limitations of number of people on set, and
for sure. But how many people are just before I do pass on to Cheeto? How many people are on the Enterprise at one time?
340,
Well, fuck.
320.
Wow, and like they got taken over by maybe half that amount. That's ridiculous. Yeah, it really is. Anyways, so what you got to say, Cheeto?
Now I'm looking up the crew count of the Enterprise. 430. I was
There you
close.
go.
I mean, as I said kind of earlier, I mean, this is where the episode for me picked up. I did enjoy some of the interactions. I did enjoy Spock kind of cutting loose and bobbing and weaving and neck pinching people and doing his thing. I mean, I see where you're coming from, Zam, with like the Enterprise got taken over too easy, but it really didn't. I mean, they put it on lockdown, and they just I feel like they just didn't show, because they did mention later on that they were taking more levels. So I think they started as close to the bridge as possible. They took the bridge and then they locked out the systems on the bridge, but they still had to take the other section. So I feel like they didn't take the whole ship right then. I felt like they were still working on taking over the ship. But I see where you're at. It like it's like, they had what, 30 crew members, because on the derelict
Several
ship,
decks as well.
yeah, and
I was
that's what
gonna
I'm
say.
saying. Like, I mean, but they even said they're working through the decks or whatever. So they weren't done taking the ship over, but they had the bridge, they just didn't have control. Is what Spock mentioned. The other thing was, and I lost my train of thought. It's going around. I think I was going to mention something about, her tricking Spock into releasing the ship and all that.
Well, she got shot, didn't she? So
She got shot, and they're
Yeah.
about to head for sick bay.
Yeah, but it was set to stun, so
Like very wimpy little weapons from these pirates.
they're
Like,
pirates. They probably just get what they can get. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't expect. They're just a ragtag group. Oh, so I do remember what I was going to say, but it said that they had 200 people in the cargo hold, which were supposed to be the colony members, and then 30 people on the ship. Were the 200 people in the cargo hold, was that an illusion, or was that actually all pirates?
They
Pretty much all
never
pirates, I think.
clarified that. I'm not sure.
Okay. I mean, maybe all 230 of those people were pirates,
Yeah.
and they were just because it was a trap. Like the whole thing
Mhm.
was a trap. So
Yeah,
I mean, maybe so that's 230 people. So granted, yes, are they outnumbered? Yes, but they had the element of surprise, and they had already taken the bridge. So when you break it down, like my dumbass will, it's not that unlikely, especially in pirates, because you go back to like the Revolutionary War, when it's like the British, the Queen, or not the Queen, the British troops, they all march in a single file line, but the American troops took them out because they were using guerrilla tactics. Maybe this is that instance where it's like Starfleet was kind of doing their thing, because although they're trained in military, and I understand that, not all of them are security personnel. So maybe there was just a guerrilla tactics versus a regiment tactics type of thing here. And I'm inferring a lot because we didn't see it. Like, we didn't see what happened. So
Yeah, I agree.
I'm just inferring a lot.
Well, they let a lot of stuff happen off screen in this
Mhm.
episode, and we focused on a few key people.
Which I'm
But
fine with. I didn't need to see all that.
Right. It's just more action, and I'd rather see this character stuff and growth.
I just want to see Spockle or Chapok. Chapel and Spock.
Chalk.
Chop.
Yeah,
Chop.
okay.
Chop.
Well,
Chalk.
Daniel Vance has said Spock throwing the pirate on the bridge felt very into darkness, Spock.
I mean, yeah, but still,
These were poor man Khan minions, weren't they? So yeah, I know what you're on about too.
Yeah, but they, but they Spock is that strong, though. I get it. He never did that in the original series. That's because they didn't have the not the set design, but the affordability in the shows and stuff to just like throw people and like do wire work and stuff like that. You know, even CGI. I mean, nowadays it's easy to throw somebody across the room with CGI. You know, I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
So it's probably the only reason why he didn't do it back in the day.
Anyway, mate, continue, mate.
All right. So our next scene starts with the bearded Orion, our ginger lookalike.
Yeah. My goodness.
He welcomes Captain Pike to the Serene Squall. They're on the dreaded pirate ship, not a colony ship. Spock and Dr. Aspen head to the sick bay. We cut back to the Serene Squall. Captain Pike's getting knocked around. They're trying to get the command codes for Enterprise out of him. The bearded Orion makes a comment about his beautiful jawline. Pike starts to kind of sow some seeds of dissent, notices some, something he could pick at, the quality of their food, and convinces this bearded Orion that seems to be in charge on the ship that he will discuss giving him the codes over dinner if he lets him feed a nice meal, cook and feed a nice meal to his crew. He agrees. We go back to the Enterprise where Nurse Chapel's unsuccessfully trying to access some of the systems, any of the systems, to maybe get a message off to Starfleet. Some pirates walk up on her, and she handles both of them with hypo sprays. I'm just a nurse with a hypo spray up my sleeve. No,
you're more than just a nurse.
She's a badass, but she took advantage of that. She took advantage of people's misconceptions of helpless ladies and nurses to get the jump on them. Back on the Serene Squall, it turns out that the pirates are enjoying the captain's cooking, and Captain continues sowing doubt in the bearded Orion, and he kind of leads him to the idea of selling the away team and maybe the entire Enterprise crew to the Klingons. He's warning him, this is dangerous. It'd be a bad idea, but he's planting that idea in his head. And
he's also like manipulating like that like he's one of the lieutenants, the second in charge, maybe that lady.
Yeah, like, he's complimenting her.
Yeah.
She, pointing out, you must be the smart one. He's sowing dissent between the, two parties, kind of getting them on edge.
By the way, Daniel, I did notice the cow toe on not the camel toe, the cow toe on the Orion's desk.
So you noticed cow toe, I noticed camel toe. Let's go.
We put Mage off the rails.
A little bit. I'm glad I put language disclaimers when I share these. No, it's
absolutely always.
But Spock is at sickbay. He's patching Dr. Aspen up. She kind of admonishes him to stop trying to take back the ship, says that they should abandon ship. That these pirates are really bad news. It turns out that her Vulcan Kolinar skipping husband was killed by the pirates. And, her story's changed again. At this point, it's kind of obvious. She's laying it on thick. Spock is buying it. We cut back to the Serene Squall. The Pike's back with the away team. Una goes, "Oh, wait, are you doing that thing?" And he said, "We're doing that thing. It's Alpha Braga 4. They're going to inspire a mutiny." Spock and Dr. Aspen find Nurse Chapel in engineering. Spock moves the command functions after undoing Una's lockout. He moves them to engineering before they can actually get a message off to Starfleet or do anything of real consequence. Everything reroutes. It turns out that Dr. Aspen was actually Captain Angel. she's the real captain of the Serene
Her
Squall.
personality just changed. I give her credit.
Oh,
Character
the
was pretty
actress
good.
does a phenomenal job. She's the act drops, and she immediately becomes this kind of over the top, overly dramatic villain, and she's just really fun to watch. She's this master manipulator and cunning planner. She kind of fits that magnificent bastard villain trope, but your gender's flipped onto a female villain, and I think she was a really good villain in this episode, and a great job by the actress.
Yeah, I agree.
What did you guys think about these segments?
I wasn't surprised by the reveal, so to speak.
No.
It kind of made sense, and my issue sometimes is a little bit to do with the B plot, which is following Pike. I mean, for a start, I'm getting fed up with all the you're taking the captain and the first officer on away missions. Like, this shit needs to stop. It really does.
But they're being true to the original series. I understand where you're coming from, Zam. Practically, it makes sense, but you know what? That's what if people want to be pure canonists to the original series, that's what they did back then, because Kirk, Spock, and McCoy went on all the missions. Well, almost all the missions. So,
but I just kind of felt like, after being in, and you saw there was a lot of people in being held prisoner on that ship. You saw, like, they were pretty much around the perimeter of the ship, all these little jail cells and shit like that. And I just felt like they were just taking it too easily. Like, it was just, oh, we've been kidnapped, oh, we'll just start a mutiny. They just took it in their stride. It felt like it was, yeah.
Wait a minute. Una did not go on Una was on the bridge.
No, she wasn't.
Yes,
she was in the cell. She shared the cell with him.
Yeah, they took them over to that ship and put them.
Oh, yeah. Actually,
she was on the bridge, because remember, she got shot in the shoulder.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take that back. But still,
I was about to say, wait a minute, Una was on the bridge.
All right, but
you're right.
My point is, my point is that I felt like they were taking this, like, the whole mutiny, saying, yeah, we'll start a mutiny, no problem, just take it in our stride, making these guys dinner. Like, it just felt like a day at the office. There was no tension there. There should have been a bit. Like, this is serious shit. Like, this shit's been taken over.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I found it unbelievable that this guy would stop, torturing his prisoner and interrogating him to let him cook them a meal. I mean,
that was
you're handing his hands are free now. He's handling hot pans and knives, all sorts of you can mess somebody up with kitchen implements very easily. And that's all I'm saying.
I'll carve your heart out with a spoon.
Yeah. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, I remember that.
Robin Hood Men Prince of Thieves. You're right.
Yes, it was Robin, yeah.
Yeah,
it was Alan Rickman playing the Sheriff of Nottingham.
Yeah, you're right.
So, yeah. I found some of that just to be a bit cheesy. But then this was all, I know you haven't mentioned this yet, but this was like the reason behind all of this as well. Like, the takeover of the ship, they're pirates. You thought they just, okay, they got the ship, that's good enough. They got the Enterprise, that's good enough. That's a fucking,
that's a win.
That's a win, but no, there's more ulterior motives, and that's when it became a bit of a loss for me. But I'll let you talk about that when you as we continue.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't mind it as much. I didn't need to see everything that was going on the pirate ship with Pike. I'm kind of glad they didn't focus on that at all. I was more interested in what was going on the Enterprise. So I mean, the whole mutiny thing, and I love it how when they show up, they're like, yeah, our mutiny is kind of still in progress. Like, we need a little assistance here. They're like driving the ship, and it's like there's bloodshed going on behind the door behind them. Like, I was like, all right. And then you see they got like security guards or somebody like just shooting people through the grate. Like, he's just like back there just putting holes in people. And I'm like, yes. But I don't know. I get where you're like it's a bit satire and it's a bit goofy, but at the same time, I'm here for it. Like as I said, I was more interested in what was going on in the Enterprise, but I thought that there was just enough of the Pike stuff for us to keep up with what they're doing, and I thought that was fine.
Yeah.
So our next scene is Captain Angel taking Spock and Nurse Chapel to the bridge. She taunts Spock about how she's manipulated him, that it turns out she dumped the actual Dr. Aspen on an uninhabited planet. This brings up one of my analysis of this episode. Why wasn't there a photo of Dr. Aspen on the record? The captain's gone to pick up this person and help, and she's ex-Starfleet. You would think they would have given him a file on her in the briefing, and he would see the picture of the actual Captain Aspen, and the detail that the actual Dr. Aspen's a dude and not a lady. So it just seemed them getting duped by that. It seemed like a little plot holy to me. I don't know. I'm being nitpicky.
No, I do agree. I do agree, and at the same time, it's how you feel about the episode, because if you're not necessarily too happy with certain things, then you can find more plot holes or more sort of logical issues with an episode. And I did not realize that until you mentioned it right now, because considering we have like facial recognition technology in the 21st century, they would easily have that shit, and they would have it top tier shit, during the Star Trek era, even during Pike's era, it would be phenomenal. So the fact that the technology they have for facial recognition wasn't able to realize that this woman was a fake, how the hell did she got away with it big time? At the same time, like, you're not really supposed to think of those sort of things, but but that's how it goes.
She reveals that her real objective this whole time was getting Spock, that getting Enterprise is just icing on the cake. She contacts T'Pring to start to set up an exchange. She wants one of T'Pring's prisoners, a Vulcan by the name of Zavarius. She really kind of turns up the overdramaticness and the taunting of Spock, mocking him over being emotionally manipulated by her, despite his protests that he's not emotional. She calls out Nurse Chapel after giving this talk about how love is what makes the cold of space bearable. Basically saying to Chapel, you act hard and put on this cold exterior, but you're lonely.
She melts for that Vulcan Ponfar.
The only thing, apparently.
Spock needs his Ponfar Agra.
From what we've seen so far, he doesn't need it.
Good comeback.
We cut back over to the Serene Squall. Pike and Una are sowing the seeds of mutiny, kind of manipulating the doubtful officer, the one who's thought that bearded Orion's messing up from the get-go.
They call him Ginger Greek, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. I can't find where I noted his actual name, so he's Ginger Greek from the rest of the review.
Yeah.
They go so far as to say, if you need extra friends to, maybe do a little something, we could be your friends.
This is where that lady should realize that she's being manipulated, for fuck's sake.
They are laying it on so thick.
Yeah.
This part was very ham. Like
It was.
and
It's being like sold as funny at this point, and they're joking about how it's this inside joke between Una and Pike, this thing they've done before. But yeah, it was hammy, it was campy.
as I said, I was okay with it.
It was fun to watch.
It was not the crutch of the episode for me.
No. T'Pring ends up actually coming to the rendezvous spot like Captain Angel thought, and told.
And she got there quick. They got to the edge of Federation space
very quick. They got a message into Federation space very quick. Considering what all Spock was saying at the beginning of the episode, that it would take 2 days for them to contact the Federation and ask for permission to actually go in.
Yeah, that's one of the things that bugged me about this episode was the logistics of this episode. Where I'm like, wait a minute, they're on the edge of, or they're outside Federation space. They're on the edge, the frontier, cowboy, all Wild West space, and it's like, but then all of a sudden it's like, hey, this Vulcan ship that is literally, like, Vulcan is very close to Earth. Like, I think they say it's within 5 or 6 light years of Earth. So it's like, it's very close to Earth. So you're telling me that it just takes a couple hours to warp from very close to Earth all the way out to the edge of Federation space, which at this point there's 100 and some, I don't know if there's 150 yet, but there's 100 and some races in the Federation. That's not including all the systems.
Yeah, but they're Vulcans. They're the ones who introduced humans to sophisticated warp drive in the first place. So
they still can't go more than warp 9, and warp 9 it would take.
They didn't have warp 9 at that point either. I think the Vulcans were still capped out at 7 at this time period.
That's always up for debate. Some people say that they used a different scale in TOS era.
That's right, because warp factor and warp number are different.
Yeah, there's a lot of theories out there, and I mean, I don't dispute those theories. That's fine. However headcanon you explain it is okay with me, as long as I don't turn into a lizard. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
You don't want to become lizards and have lizard offspring, Cheeto?
No, not with my helmsman. No.
Yeah, with your boss now. Okay, fair enough. Anyway, let's continue.
Spock is kind of he deciphers who this prisoner must be and tells Nurse Chapel as such, and he jumps out and tells T'Pring that she can't do the transfer, that she shouldn't, that she needs to get the hell away. He gets stunned. We cut to him waking up, and he pulls this gambit. He lies to his fiance and starts selling this fib that he and Nurse Chapel are having an affair. They share a very passionate kiss to try to sell it.
Like, Nurse Chapel was not selling anything. She was
in
on
it. For her, yeah.
She was in it like, this is it. Like, this is the best thing ever. And doing it right in front of his missus.
And Spock's realizing things in that moment too. But T'Pring breaks off the engagement calmly, and but the pirates suddenly can't control the Enterprise from the bridge. I
just want to add. I just also want to add as well, like, the whole point of all of this was the exchange, obviously, for Captain Angel's husband. But once Spock made out that he was no longer in love with T'Pring, it kind of scuppered the plans of Captain Angel, because she was willing to do it in exchange. And I like this because Spock was willing. He was going to do everything he could to stop that from happening. Anything he could.
He was willing to sacrifice his entire relationship because he, as far as he was concerned, he had to actually sell it to make her not go through with the exchange. And then she sells, buying the whole situation, and just kind of calmly breaks off their engagement.
So was the Vulcan's not lying, huh?
Right. Well, who told you that? A Vulcan?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
That's a great line. Pike calls in from the Serene Squall's bridge. And I love this line. Get the hell out of my chair, he says to Captain Angel. And I just
Dude,
thought
she
that
was like swimming in that chair. Like,
yeah, it was swallowing her whole, even with her legs kicked up over it. Like she was like kind of a smaller frame girl, and it's just that chair looked huge. It looked like, little girl sitting in daddy's recliner.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, for sure.
Daddy hair is home. Get out of my chair.
Basically, she hightails it out using the necklace that she conspicuously had Spock help her put around her neck earlier in the episode. And the pirates, having been abandoned by their captain and locked out of any controls on the
Yeah.
Enterprise, had their engines disabled by Ortegas from over on the Serene Squall.
She's going to be a reoccurring villain because before she disappears, she went, "We'll meet again, Enterprise."
It was great. No,
I actually
she's good, and I want to see her again. She could be this.
Twirls his mustache.
You got to. No, she could be this series Harry Mudd.
I mean, I'm all for it. She did a really good job. I'm all for her being a reoccurring villain.
But she won't be able to fool them again now, even if she desperately needs their help. I mean, you can't trust her. Yeah.
Yeah, but so. I mean, there's ways around that. There's little backdoor schemes and shenanigans and everything like that. I'm here for it. Every Trek needs their either Q or Harry Mudd or I'm trying,
Yeah, argue Seska.
Yeah, like Seska or who am I thinking of from DS9? Brunt. Every. You got to have that foil that always comes around. Well, let's just put Jeffrey Combs as the foil in DS9 because Wayoon and Brunt, and so every Trek has got to have that foil, and I'm okay. I think this one would be a good one. Her showing up every now and then. The tattoo seems to kind of be like a mark of remembrance. Like when we see that tattoo, we're like, oh god, this is what's her face, Captain Angel. And I mean, come on, her name's Captain Angel. Like,
yeah,
that's a reoccurring character.
Yeah, for sure.
What did you guys think of the line where right before she leaves, she tells Spock that the question that he needs to answer isn't what he is, but who he is? And, all these whole dynamic through the episode of her kind of talking with him about how you don't always have to fit yourself into a box. You don't have to be either full human or full Vulcan. You can just be Spock.
It was at the time when she said that, she was playing a character, so she was just maybe keeping up appearances. But Spock is always going to be somebody who's going to have his foot in both camps, and even if he wasn't half human, I think his time spending around humans would give off some human energy as well. Like, it's just who he is as a person. He cares for people, even though he comes across as as emotionless. He does care for people, for sure.
Well, Daniel Van says that I think the necklace was Cybox, and Angel had Spock help her with the necklace on purpose. It was one of the things that helped Spock surmise who Xavrius was.
So yeah, I was going to mention that a lot later. Is Xavrius
a lot later, dude? This review's been an hour so far.
Yeah, fair enough. So that's what we found out, that the Angel's husband is Cyborg.
Yeah,
because Cyborg didn't come across as somebody. I mean, yes, he did kidnap people, but he wasn't trying to hurt people, whilst the pirates are. If you know what I mean.
Did Spock know about Cyborg in 5? I've only seen 5.
He did.
He did.
That's why
I've only watched 5 a handful of times, and I just couldn't remember if he knew about him or not before he landed on the Enterprise.
No, because when they were in the brig, Kirk said to him, why don't you shoot him? And he goes, because he's my brother. I go, oh, yeah, I know he's a Vulcan. And he goes, no, he's my brother. And he goes, yeah, well, you don't have a brother, Spock. He goes, yeah, that is correct. I have a half brother. And then, like,
And
It'd
a
be an
half
important
sister.
distinction.
no, he doesn't have a half sister. He has
Adopted.
a stepsister.
Adopted sister, whatever. Yeah, okay.
Stepsister and half brother. So, yeah. But yeah. So Cyborg, it's good to see that maybe Cyborg will play a part this season as well. I mean, who?
I wouldn't hate it. I mean, it would give us some backstory on Cybok, and besides what we hear of him in 5, we don't know anything about Cybok. And I get it, Cybok's a stupid character, but the problem is that he is canon. He is in the movie, so we have to kind of address Cybok.
It was kind of people have griped before about Discovery because it never acknowledged Cybok.
They've got to be careful though. That's the thing. Like someone like Uhura can't meet Cybok because then it breaks continuity with what happens in Star Trek 5, if you know what I mean. When she never met him, like any of the legacy characters who end up on like next season or whatever. If they
Did we
end
see
up
Uhura at all in this episode?
No. Hemmer wasn't there, and they were even in engineering.
Oh yeah, Hemmer wasn't there either. God.
So they captured Hemmer in engineering and then left engineering unfortified. Like that makes very little sense. You think occupying force would want to hold key places on the ship?
I think the Cyborg story I'm going to do is help address why we saw a far more emotional Spock in the TOS pilot episode.
I think that's just kind of like a let's ignore it thing because the pilot episode it's
as
canon.
far as I'm concerned.
But
he touched those flowers. He touched those flowers, and those flowers make people smile. That's what happens. Yeah, just do it.
It's an alien flower. It makes people smile.
Yeah. Cyborg was really written for Sean Connery. Yeah, I could tell. The remnants are in the name of the god Shakari.
Yeah.
Shakari. Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see how he plays like an emotional Vulcan early on when that happens. But let's just hope that happens next season and not this season. Yeah.
They have a lot going on for plot threads already this season. Maybe we can just kind of sow the seeds for next season with this one.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. Anything else to add? Mike, regarding this episode?
What did you guys think of that final scene with Chapel and Spock? It seems to me like, in that moment, Spock kind of realized that he does have feelings for Chapel, and I'm not sure if he saw through her fib there at the end, but when she said no there aren't, she's quite obviously trying to lie to him. What did you guys think?
I'm not so sure if I think the thing with Spock as well, he sometimes can be a bit oblivious to things. And
this is true.
And I'm not so sure that he's aware that Chapel's got the hots for him.
I could see him being that dense.
Like he when Spock confronted her regarding the emotion of it as well, he said, look, I know you're in a relationship, I know what you did, it was and all of that sort of stuff. He was very aware of it.
He seemed guilty to me. He kind of looked like he felt guilty when she said, "Oh, but you're not the kind of guy that would go after a girl when he already has a partner."
Yeah, and like I said, he was thinking on his feet at the time, and his fiance knew that. And as soon as he went back to his fiance, they were all both on the same wavelength, and they did some pon farring straight afterwards because Spock thought it was logical for a shag. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, Nurse Chapel she still has to play her game, and I'm sure we'll see more of that in future seasons as well. They're going to build up to this, like
do a will they, won't they?
Yeah, for sure. And they got to really keep this going. Not they can't resolve this within a season or two. Like this needs to go on for a few seasons. A bit like Crusher, Beverly Crusher, and Picard, which was a won't they, unfortunately. But something along those particular lines. Uh, you know me so well. Yes, we do, mate. So, anyways.
No, I think he's quoting Spock from Nurse Chapel. I think Spock was saying to Nurse Chapel, "You know me so well." I think that.
Oh, sorry, I do apologize. It is very late for me, so I do apologize. But yeah, okay. Any more to add, Mike?
I don't have anything else.
Okay, so let's give this episode a mark. I do apologize. I want to get straight onto the overall and call it a day. I'm getting very tired here, but I'm going to give this episode a 7 out of 10. What about you, Chio?
8 out of 10.
Mage?
7.5.
I just want to say that I do feel that this episode should have been a two-parter, and it should have been less. I think some of the comical elements should have been not there, and should have been a lot more tense. Like Pike getting the shit beaten out of him, most of the crew being jailed, and I think the mutiny angle could have lasted a little bit longer. But they chopped it all up and made it a one episode thing. I think it should have been two personally. It would have been tropey, and we would have seen this done before. It would still been good fun if it would, because it's Trek, and if it's acted and written well, then regardless of being there, done it on a t-shirt, you can still appreciate it if it's done well. So, but yeah, that's it. Yeah, 7 still regardless.
Yeah, it's not a Trek series until the ship's been taken over by somebody and they've got to take it back. But I agree, it would have been better as a two-parter.
I disagree. I liked it. I thought it was very well paced, and I don't want it to be a two-parter. So, suck it.
It's not just that, but the revelation, like you had to really believe that Dr. Aspin was one particular person, and maybe 2/3 into the episode we could have had that twist where she was somebody else, and then boom, then we can carry that on for a whole episode as a two-parter, as well as obviously seeing the seeds of mutiny being sowed, because it felt very quick, and all of that, and maybe a bit more of the relationship between Chapel and Spock too, So they could have filled out a lot more in this episode, but still a credit to them. It was an enjoyable episode for what it's worth. It wasn't perfect, but it was enjoyable nevertheless. And Strange New World still doing very well in my opinion. The actual answer without going over was 7.25 Mage wins. Fair enough. Mage wins.
Well, no.
That's it. Are we done then, fellas? Regarding, okay, so we're going to quickly talk about the Orville. Thank you very much, Mage. We'll see you later, mate.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. You guys have a great evening.
No problem. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay, so we're on to Orville episode 3 of season 3, Mortality Paradox. And for me, Orville is TNG in almost every aspect. It feels like TNG. The episodes are very TNG-like. And I'm liking the fact that the comedy is kind of taking a back seat now. No problem, Daniel Barnes. We'll see you later, mate. The comedy's taking back seat now, but I do find that there are comedy in who the characters are. Like, is it Boris? I keep forgetting his name.
Bortus.
Like him just being this deadpan character. In the way he delivers his lines and his personality is very funny. A bit like Spock at times in Strange New Worlds. Like being deadpan in its own way could be absolutely hilarious. And Bortus is that. And same in a way as Isaac as well. he's quite deadpan as well, being somebody who is a robot, and it brings its own comedy, and people like Malloy being a bit of a lad, that brings its own comedy as well. So, but nevertheless, this was a very interesting episode. They go back to that planet, which was evolving like 500 years every 11 days. Remember that planet?
Yeah, but I don't. That wasn't this planet. That's the where the lady was from. That's where she's from,
Uh-huh.
but that's not the actual planet.
I was wondering what the fuck was going on, because apparently this planet has got like a population of 8 billion, but then it doesn't. I was like, what the fuck's going on? I was getting very confused by it. But nevertheless, we have an away mission with the captain, the first officer, the lead pilot. For some reason, the pilot needs to come down there. Who
Oh,
else was
this
there?
is what you were talking about earlier, where you take everybody, like the captain, the first officer, the navigator, the who else was there?
Security.
The chief of security. Like, really, honestly, it should have been the first officer. Like, if you're gonna trek it up, then trek it up. It should have been the first officer, chief of security, and maybe your navigator are have reason to be there.
Is Bortis the navigator?
No, Bortis is, I think, tactical. I don't know what Bortis is. Ops, maybe. I don't know. Like, he might be operations, maybe. But still, there was no reason for Bortis, and there was no reason for the captain to be there. I
I
feel
don't mind
like
Bortis being there as muscle. I mean, it's good
guess.
to have him. But then again, actually, you don't need him as muscle. You've got the chief of security. I mean, she's fucking muscle. The girl from the gravity planet. So yeah, but they go down to this planet, and it's all foresty initially, and then I'm not sure if you heard this, but as they're walking through the forest before they reach the school, the music they were using was the music at the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark, when he's walking in the jungle before he gets to the cave. And I did pick up on that. I'm not sure if you picked up on that.
I did not, because Indiana Jones. I mean, I've seen obviously all the Indiana Joneses, but I don't watch them enough to catch something like that.
Fair enough.
Unless it's like da 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 da.
Yeah, it wasn't that particular one, but
yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, but that's
Yeah.
something I would catch. But like the opening, whatever, walking through the forest. No, I wouldn't catch that.
which is it was pretty cool. But then they find that school there, and then they go into the school, and there's all these people in the school, and then Malloy, and like they're trying to find clues, and Malloy gets the shit beaten out of him because he's got to give money to Randall. Right?
I really thought that this episode was going to go down, like the theme of the week was going to be bullying. I'm like, okay, so now we're doing bullying this week. Like, I'm glad I was wrong, but like I was just like, okay, let's do it. Okay, let's go.
And what's so cool about this is that when they were filming this, I was thinking to myself, wow, they're actually filming this in a high school. They're actually filming this, on their playing fields and stuff like that. Excuse me. And they start to, like the Orville crew, trying to find out who this Randall is as a way of like maybe getting out of the situation they're in. And then we meet Randall, and he's a fucking giant troll.
Alien.
Like that.
That's when the episode went on its head, and I'm like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, exactly. But Malloy gets captured by this creature, and then something happens to him. And then luckily for her, this chief security officer throws a fucking bench in his face, and they're able to escape. And when they do escape, they go back to the school. And then when they're in the school, they end up on an aeroplane. And this was a bit weird as well. And I just found it really funny that there's a lot of turbulence and stuff. And then Malloy, being a pilot, thinks that, hold on, it feels like we keep flying into turbulence when we should be avoiding it. And then he goes to check on the cockpit, and there's nobody flying the fucking plane. And the stupid stewardess, instead of shitting her pants, because there's nobody flying the plane, gets knocked out by Kelly, which is pretty cool. And then they have to fly the plane, and then that's when Captain Ed, he also has that thingy with his eyes. they end up landing the plane. They get out the plane and they end up into a graveyard for Bortus's people, mucklers. Yeah, is that what they're called?
I don't remember.
And then Bortus sees his own dead body. His own dead body wakes up, tries to strangle Bortus. Bortus also has that sin with his eyes, and then they leave that place and they end up on the security girl's planet, and they realize that this is definitely a simulation, because if they were on their planet, they'd be dead because of the gravity. Even I knew that. And then this is where it became a bit weird, because they see some light flashing, and so they decide to split the group for some reason. Like, what the hell are you doing? Don't split the fucking group. You need to be together more than anything. But they split the group. Kelly gets taken in by some giant fucking kraken monster, and then she has the icing, but she gets saved by security girl. And then a door comes along, and this is where I'm thinking to myself, you know what? They shouldn't be playing this game. They shouldn't be following these paths that's laid for them. And Ed actually says, no, we're not going to play this game anymore. And they walk a different direction, and they find this hollow emitter, and they destroy it, and they think they're out of the hologram. But this is where I'm thinking to myself, they're probably not. It's still an illusion. I'm not sure if you thought the same thing.
Yeah, I thought that too. When they were back up in the ship, and like at first no, but then when the Kalons started attacking and stuff like that, that's when I'm like, I think this is still an illusion.
Especially because the situation with their eyes hasn't been what happened to their eyes, it hasn't been resolved. You know, like are they?
Well, and plus you knew that
Are
they had like 20, 25 minutes left of the episode. These episodes are long, like they're over an hour long.
Yeah. And we find out they're fighting the Kalon and stuff like that. And there was a moment with the editing where 1 minute they're fighting the Kalon, and then you see Lamar on the captain's chair. Like, what the fuck's going on here? And then it kind of confirmed what I'm thinking. Yes, they're definitely in a simulation. And then before they get killed by the Kalon in their simulation, the simulation ends. And then we find out from this particular alien species that looks like fucking Tron in the fucking gay pride parade, talking to our crew who was all on the planet, saying that they've been studied about what it means to die, because this particular person is immortal. So they want to study what it means and feels like to die. And so that's why it made me realize that everyone who had that icing happen to them, it happened to them when they were in situations where they were about to die.
Well, they thought they were going to die.
Oh yeah, well, Malloy was picked up by the troll. Captain Ed thought that they were going to crash. Bortus was picked up by their body being strangled, and Kelly was, taken by the Kraken underwater. So those are all moments of like experiencing death, so to speak. And that was really the tale of the episode. And I'll be honest with you, up until this particular moment, until this particular reveal, I was really enjoying this episode, but this reveal wasn't a good payoff. I'm not sure how you felt.
No, I mean, not really. But that's why it's very TNG like, in my opinion. Do you think like some people think it's TNG because of the episode layout? I think it's TNG because TNG had a lot of underwhelming resolutions to a lot of their episodes. So I really feel like this is very accurately a TNG-esque episode because the payoff just wasn't there. It seemed like there was more going on there than meets the eye. There was, as I said, she's like, you guys were safe the whole time. Okay. Like, as soon as I found out it was pretty much a simulation, like, and they didn't explain a lot of the, like any of that stuff. They're like, when they were flying down to the planet and there was trees, but they still said we should be in the middle of downtown Manhattan. It's like, okay, what's going on? Because I get that it's an illusion, but at the same time, it's like, if the illusion was downtown Manhattan and that's what they were reading, then it should have looked like, with the hologram, it should have looked like that, and then change to a forest. And that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't.
Okay, so but because they're so advanced with their technology, they can make it any way they want. But overall, the only thing I could say that really made me appreciate this episode was that it didn't feel like it was focused on one particular character. Like sometimes for me, my favorite episodes of Star Trek are when it's pretty much about the whole crew in unison, and it's not focused. It's not like a Riker episode or a Picard episode or a Geordie episode or anything like that. It's about everyone, and I like that about this particular episode. We had our away team and them, and then we had a little bit less of the team that were back on the Orville, but still, nobody was like the individual focus. You know, everyone had a part to play in this episode, and I did like it for that, for sure. I'm not sure how you felt about that.
I'm kind of the opposite. I like the episodes where they take like maybe one or two characters, maybe three, and they focus on them and an away mission, and the rest of the characters are just kind of there. I think we kind of got that. I believe we got that last week. But
You
know,
don't like the mix up. Like
Huh?
sometimes we get character-based episodes, sometimes we get crew-based episodes.
and that's fine. I mean, but I feel like we're only 3 episodes in, and I can't remember how many episodes there are. But I mean, I feel like like we had because the first episode was very crew based as well. I know it was Isaac focused, but like everybody except for maybe what's the helmsman's name again? That's married to Kelly. Why can't I remember? His name?
Malloy.
Malloy, like except for Malloy, he didn't get too much to do. Well, no, he got his time in the fighter, so I guess he got his time too. But like that one felt like a very crew centric episode. Last week's, I just kind of would have liked a little bit more focus.
I thought like we only had 3 episodes. First episode was about Isaac, and also the new girl. I forgot her name, but the second episode was definitely about Dr. Finn. And what happens to her ex-husband who turned into a fucking alien. And we've got this episode. We're only 3 episodes in on this particular season, but for what it's worth, I am enjoying it very much. The payoff for this episode, unfortunately, doesn't give this episode for me as high a mark as it should do, because until then I was really enjoying it, knowing that they were going through all these sort of scenarios, and I'm going to give it was a bit like Jumanji, so to speak. I'm going to give this episode a 7 out of 10.
I concur. 7 out of 10.
Fair enough. So all right, so that's pretty much our Star Trek and Orville review. Let us know what you think of these particular episodes. Did you enjoy it as much as we did? Because even though our marks wasn't like off the chart, they were definitely positive. That's for sure. So, are you in agreement with us, or do you have your own opinions? Either way, let us know with a comment below, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube. We have more content coming out. Might be doing a wrestling podcast tomorrow on the scandalous Vince McMahon, as well, of course, as The Boys season 3, episode 4, with myself and Ginger Greek. So make sure you catch all of that and anything else we think of between now and then. Okay, take care, everyone. Bye bye, and have a nice day. And remember, may the Force be with you.